So I split it between elementary, middle school, and high school based on our enrollments, and that's part of the state reporting that you have to do. So it's one, I split it into three, basically per kid.
Okay, anyone else? Okay, all those in favor? Okay, thank you. Okay, we'll move on to presentations. We have Logan Health here for a presentation tonight.
Yes. So I'd like to introduce Mr. Tom LePage. He's a senior grant writer from Logan Health, and they've been awarded a grant through the Mental Health Montana Cares Foundation, and there's really two parts. So I'll just kind of separate first Logan Health, which would be, we talked about 2 years ago.
Yeah, good 2 years.
Started 2 years ago, which would bring primary care for staff and student services with a mobile unit. It's a 2-year grant, starting out with 1 day a week, the opportunity to increase days. They will do all the Medicaid, so we don't run Medicaid billing through the school or handling insurance. They take care of everything, but with the grant and with the mobile unit, they are looking to start up again. And really, like I said, there's two parts: primary care through Logan Health, and then we'll have Dr. Fox also talk about the behavioral and mental health, which is basically two parts. So this is part one, and Dr. Fox has part two in terms of what's available through the grant.
Yeah, well, hello. I'm glad that tonight isn't yesterday with the roads and that. It was an easy drive down. I get to manage a lot of the grants for the hospital and the system as a whole. And we were happy to get this in December, finally, to get it funded and launched. It's got a 2-year time span. And our side of it is to just provide a mobile clinic that's like a primary care clinic on wheels, just a big box truck that's fitted out to be a exam room and a waiting room and a lab on board. And park it here at the school. Start with 1 day a week. And the golden number for us, just because people will ask, well, why don't you do more? If we can get 5 patients a day, we can be sustained. And so it can be an ongoing service. And so that's what we're always shooting for. And I was really happy that Jason and you all said that the community could access primary health care at this clinic as well. Also the staff. In our other schools where we do this, in places in the West Valley, in Flathead County, in Glacier County, and in Pend Oreille, the staff are the most appreciated because any health issue they have, they kind of have a primary care clinic just for them right outside the door. They don't have to take off work. They can just get seen right away. And I think it's interesting that a lot of everything that's happened since the pandemic, having behavioral health and primary care accessible for people is a huge, and including for the staff. I would say over half of our visits, patient visits in Columbia Falls, for instance, were staff. So it is an interesting way to get this going. We were given a separate large donation earlier to purchase the truck and to get it all built out at Nomad up in Columbia Falls. That's where it is now. Otherwise, it would be in your yard and you could walk through it. It's getting the final plumbing and electrical kinks worked out before we can put it on the road. As soon as that's ready, we have a doctor, we're hiring an MA, and we'll integrate with the school nurse to make that system work. And people can contact us for an appointment. They can contact CSKT's Behavioral Health Department, and we can do referrals between each other. Also, we can do referrals to Missoula or any other hospital. It's actually against the law to just say, oh, this is only Logan Health. So I think that makes an integrated point of access for primary care for students, staff, and the community. And, it has been a 2-year discussion. I think it's been a bit frustrating for our side because we had a green light. We were really close. And then we had all kinds of obstacles in getting the truck, getting it built. Actually finding a chassis across the United States took over a year. So just Ford 650s, you couldn't get them for anything. So anyway, we had to go to a bigger truck. We got that done. And then we had leadership changes, like so much of life these days. And so back to square one. But now happy to have the grant in hand, the equipment on the kind of, you could say on the front door, just waiting to roll. And this will be a process that we roll out, engaging with the faculty, the leadership, yourselves, the community. We'll do some kind of soft launch where people can walk through the vehicle anytime during the day when we're here and kind of, so to speak, kick the healthcare tires. So, and I don't think I need to say more. I do, you have the list of the exact services that we'll provide. I do think in every school, the board wants to know, what about parental consent? You're dealing with minors, how are you going to deal with that? And both CSKT and ourselves, it's 100%. We can get, legally, we can get permission for the school year, but our providers want to call every time a child is seen. So the parents hear first that the child's going to be seen and then called again with the results. And that keeps that relationship kind of on board. Parents know exactly what they're getting and can find out in real time, what the results are. So I think I always talk to.
Can I ask you one question? Do you have a timeline of when this is supposed to launch?
We'd like to start in March.
So this school year.
Yeah. And how that will roll out depends on when we get the vehicle back from Nomad, whether it'll be in the first 2 weeks or the last 2 weeks of March. But we know you'll have a spring event. We want to make sure that the vehicle is here for when everybody comes and everybody can see it, ask questions of the provider, the clinic manager, and, just get to know each other as people rather than some, vagabond. So.
And we'll also have to bring it to the board in March. We just kicked it off for an MOU. We have to redo the MOU in terms of an agreement with the school and on both fronts. But we started talking 2 weeks ago, a week ago, and thought, well, be at least introduce that we're talking about it again and opening up the possibility to present to the board, hopefully in March, if we can get the MOU and present to all of you for approval at the March meeting. But I thought if it was possible tonight, let's try to get them in, present that we've started talking again, and hopefully we can make it happen.
Yeah. So. And Jason has my contact and Desiree's contact. If you have questions that pop up off schedule, you should just call us.
And Dr. Fox represents CSKT Behavioral Mental Health, very similar to AltaCare, I would envision. If you remember AltaCare from years ago, they were in the school for 25 years, serving, mental health in our school district. And they were 5 days a week, every day, all day. But we actually have had very little in terms of the opportunities for mental health. And we're actually now presented with 3 opportunities, all somewhat short in terms of, grants and the amount of time. One is a psychologist that we have the opportunity to add with a grant through the U of M. But I'll talk more about that during my time later on. But at this time, Dr. Fox is here. And again, this will also be a mobile unit starting out with a 2-year grant. mental and behavioral health. It's a mobile unit. Again, 1 day a week with the opportunity to grow, and they will do the Medicaid and insurance billing just like Logan Health. They take care of that. I know with AltaCare, it used to run through the school, which I know Mr. Huckaluk will be very happy to know that it's not funneling money through the school.
That was short.
Because that did make us nervous, for years, but it was, all up and up. But it's been an absence, and again, it's an opportunity. But if Dr. Fox, you want to talk about anything? Just I kind of said a lot, but
Yeah, no, it was a great introduction. I'm Desiree P. Fox. I'm a licensed clinical psychologist, and I'm the Behavioral Health Division Director for CSPC Travel Behavioral Health. So our behavioral health encompasses mental health, addictions, and prevention programming. And so we have a pretty broad reach. Currently, we're already serving a lot of youth in the St. Ignatius School District and other school districts across the reservation. The difference is right now those youths are usually having to come to our travel health clinics. And so travel health clinic here is not that far away, but especially for younger youth or youth with parents who don't want them, walking or transporting to the clinics, this is an opportunity to bring the clinic to the school. So as long as we have that parental consent, we can see the youth in the school. We do already have an MOU with Mission Schools to provide access to our current providers to see youth within the schools, but this just adds the piece of having the mobile unit available if there's not space within the school. The other shift that this funding affords for us is right now we're only able to see tribal healthcare recipient youth, and this grant would afford us to be able to see any youth regardless of their healthcare recipient status or insurance status. And so since it's grant funded, we can see anybody who has the need. And like Tom mentioned, we might be able to do that either through warm handoff if they're coming through the medical clinic and they're needing the mobile clinic. If they're needing mental health support, we plan to coordinate days, so be there on the same day so we can receive those handoffs, but also have scheduled time where we have our therapists available to provide scheduled appointments and scheduled follow-ups. And again, it'll be needs-based, so we can add additional days. We do plan to take the mobile unit to additional schools, but we've initially committed to 2 schools to see what that capacity is going to be before we add any additional schools for that service. We will be hiring a provider specifically for the mobile mental health role, but we have other providers within our team. So if the referrals do increase and we need more capacity for providers, we can pull that from our internal team currently. And we do have currently a youth psychologist who does come to St. Ignatius once a week and does some embedded services within the cultural classrooms. But we would have access to that provider as well if we are identifying need for, say, full psychological assessment, things like that. We do provide that within our team. I don't know, I guess, are there any questions? I think that's a pretty good overview of what we'll be doing.
So this isn't under the whole umbrella of Logan Health. This is 2 separate entities.
Right.
2 separate facilities.
same grant, different entities,
Yeah.
different programs.
Hopefully they, like you said, I think you mentioned you can coincide, so you're here on the same day.
Yeah.
That would, it's ideal. Whether it works out or not, time will tell, but.
History-wise, the behavioral health side will grow faster than the primary care side. At least that's the way it's been in other things. And so I would say we will coordinate as much as we rationally make sense, but also we will expect that there'll be more demand on the behavioral health side. And so I should mention one other thing, that we each have a separate grant, and they're doing it so that we will coordinate, and we're on the same time frame. But in probably April or May, there will be an opportunity, once we get started to provide services. There's actually a grant offered by the Montana Healthcare Foundation direct to the school. It's typical grant paperwork, but it's $50,000 for 2 years to support your side of making this work seamlessly. So there's data management involved, there's the communications involved. And most of the other groups that we worked with, whether it's Big Fork or the Highline, they've used that money to pay for part of somebody's time. So to make the connections and actually do the tracking so that communications and monitoring of what's happening goes smoothly. So I'm sure you'll hear more about that as this evolves.
Thank you.
So, oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead. And I might have missed these. So, the 1 day a week
Yeah,
could be any day, or would that wouldn't be set? It could be any day.
it could be any day. The most, in the other places, the biggest need or the biggest demand is on Mondays. And so thinking of starting on Mondays, but there's no rhyme or reason. Your schedule will dictate what works. We don't have a limitation of which day we can choose.
You talked a little bit about parental consent. You
Yeah.
said you'd make a phone call.
Yeah, they actually have to have a signed form, or if it's an emergency, a verbal consent.
Okay, so
To
you
treat-
could have parental consent before the patient or ever.
Child is being seen. Any minor has to have either guardian or parent permission to go to a primary care clinic.
So,
Ideally, it would be nice if we were able to get consents out initially, just generally, the service is available, parents can consent that they're interested. And then if the need for the service comes up, we contact the parent and say, hey, this referral was made, or, so we already have a consent on
Yeah.
file, but we can follow up with verbal if we need to.
Yeah.
And if we don't have a consent on file, if that referral comes through, contacting the parent, letting them know we don't have a consent on file, we do need one to engage in services. And we can coordinate getting that. We usually know ahead of time if a referral is coming through. It's not usually kind of same day crisis kind of thing, which we can help navigate that if that comes up. But if we don't have a consent on file, we would have to navigate what to do with those.
I would be able to make an appointment in advance,
Mhm.
but I'd have to know what day of the week you were here. right?
Yeah, that'll be
How would
easy.
that-
Yeah, once we set up the schedule and Jason can approve when we come, then, setting up the appointment is just like for any primary care clinic. So whether it's adult, child, or staff member in general, they just have one number to call and then we can make an appointment. So,
So I could, like perhaps at 10 o'clock, and I could.
Yeah.
On the day you're gonna be here, I could.
Yeah.
schedule that.
yeah, and the other thing is, when there's labs done, there's a courier. The mobile clinics actually get parked every day in Polson. And every day at the end of the day, there's a courier that goes to Kalispell to the labs. And so, usually that turnaround time from the lab is quick. So we were curious about how we're going to stock medicine, how we're going to get people access to all those details. I think with the courier service linking every day, at least once a day, if not twice with Polson, we can keep that circle pretty tight. Yeah.
There'll be referrals, or will you work closely with like the guidance counselor, principals?
Yep, we work closely with staff for referrals if they're noticing, youth with, for RN for behavioral health issues, they can make the recommendation. Right now, we usually prefer that referral to come from the parents because they have to contact tribal health and make sure that their registration is up to date. So we can do a version of that. It would just be available to all students. And so we would have a kind of a coordination person that we would be sharing, ideally at the school, who can kind of route those referrals to us, but they can come from whoever. And again, as long as we have that consent, our team usually operates with assent as well, which is permission from the youth to also be seen. And so then we can meet with the youth and identify what it is that they would like to discuss or work on. But yeah, the referral can really come from anybody.
Because you still got to follow, is it called HIPAA or what
Yep.
is it?
HIPAA.
Yes,
HIPAA,
HIPAA.
yeah. So that's, privacy, basically.
Yep, yeah, so as soon as that initial referral comes in, we'll have kind of identified coordination people, so it's not, bouncing around to multiple people within the school. We'll kind of have a primary referral source who will collect those and get them to the appropriate staff for processing.
This might seem like a detail, but have you given thought to where you would be parking? You must need a lot of electricity, right?
Actually, both of our vehicles have generators.
Oh,
And because when we go to, it takes like a 240 plug-in external. Very few places have that. So we built in a generator so it can run on that. It's not great. The places that do have plug-ins, that's a gift. But we can run all day with what we have.
All right, thank you for your time. Thank you for
Yeah.
coming down and talking to us.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So,
Our pleasure. I hope.
Hopefully we'll be seeing you soon.
Yeah, I think you'll probably see an MOU here in the next couple of weeks coming through, an updated one for us. And then in other schools, it's good for us to circle back once a semester at least and just give you the stats on how many people have been seen, what are the trends we're seeing in healthcare, what are the trends we're seeing in behavioral health. And, the ultimate goal, the reason why this is getting supported with a grant is wherever healthcare is accessible and easy for students, they're in school more, they succeed better, higher graduation rates. And parents aren't disrupted as much with getting off of work to come take the kids. So, we've been doing this, I think, since the winter of 2017, 18 in different places. And every place you see the performance of students going up. I don't have the graduation rates in mind for the other places, but the national trend is yes, higher graduation rates, fewer incidents, fewer behavioral issues to deal with. So just brings another resource to the school system. So thank you.
Thank you so much.
thank you.
Thank you.
Supporting the information, have copies of it in the phone, or you can email.
I'll scan it to everybody.
Yeah, that's the national kind of overview.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. No correspondence, no old business on the board preparation and planning district goals February update.
February updates, unless there's any questions.
I do have and maybe there's a better time to talk about it, but with the unfortunate denial of our charter school application, I see we talk about that. It gets there's some places where it looks like we're still doing that. And I think we get to page 7 where we realize it was denied.
Yeah, it still was a goal.
Yeah.
We still list the efforts.
Right.
We don't delete it. Those are just things that we've tried.
Right.
Yeah.
So are we going to continue to pursue that possibility, do you think? Or?
We won't be able to until next year.
Right.
Yeah.
Or you think we do that again? Does it work the effort?
But now I'm frustrated, but I think what I'm thinking more is probably more high school at the very least, and possibly middle school and high school with a new approach that many of the other schools are using. That 2 schools were turned down with the same platform that was approved a year ago, so it's probably not. I wouldn't approach it the same. I wouldn't go after it the same way. We'd go after it a different way next year.
Right. Right. Do you think that Ronan being awarded that is going to hurt us?
No. I mean, they basically, they just have the numbers that all they basically did was our Mission Forward Academy, which is an alternative school within a school, which we also have, but we just don't have the numbers. We don't have 40 students involved in our alternative program. If we did, we could have pursued that. And we just don't have the 40 like Ronan or Libby, same thing. They're basically approving programs they've already had and in place and will continue to do. I mean, if we had the 40, we would have done the same thing, but we just don't have the 40.
Yeah.
What they got approved was basically our Mission Forward Academy.
So our involvement with Harmony stays the same, even though we didn't get the charter?
Yeah, we're still working on increasing enrollment with Harmony.
Okay.
Yeah, that's the whole premise behind Harmony. Harmony was just a small part of, eventually it may be big enough. Corvallis, they not only had the platform that we pursued, but they also have 200 students in their Harmony program, and they have an additional charter. They have eight different schools in Corvallis right now.
Right.
So
The,
3 of which are Harmony.
right. Is that what, is Ronan using that service? Yeah. Okay. Cool. And then the other, on page 9, positive future for all students. Are we pursuing, as per the STARS Act, the Future Ready and Advanced Opportunity programs of the government?
Montana Advanced Opportunities Grant, yes.
And the Future Ready? Kids who graduate with X number of college credits, like I think there's 3 levels.
Dual credit.
If it's a dual credit or not, I could look in here, but there's 3 levels if they graduate. There's some money tied to that, right? If kids. Yeah, it's not dual credit.
Which is that house?
This is 252, the STARS Act. And it was just.
Well, if STARS Act that's not, that hasn't gone through yet, so
Right.
we're not doing it. But the Montana Advanced Opportunities Grant, which is also a part of STARS Act, yes, we are. So the grant, we've done that for 3 years, but the money tied to CTE, or I'm not real familiar with that part of it. There's lots of moving parts there.
Yeah.
That's all being worked through right now. But yeah, we would definitely pursue it.
The one I was thinking of was the Future Ready payment, fiscal year 27. Anyway, if somebody earns, maybe Ms. Redmond, you can help me out with this. Do we have kids earning college credits?
Yes,
We do.
yes.
So we would maybe qualify for that if we had enough.
Possibly, depending on what the act asks.
Right, that's not passed yet. I'm assuming that it would be tracked through all the reporting that we're required to turn in both spring and fall for an Infinite Campus. There's about
Yeah.
14 of them each semester, and I think that would probably roll through and become part of your funding model.
It's easier for some schools to do dual credit, like in Kalispell, it's really easy. You've got the college right there. We have opportunities, but not as many opportunities as we wish we could. A lot of colleges, as long as you have a master's level teacher, can teach dual credit, but you have to have it in that specific area. When we had a master's level math teacher, we were able to offer more dual credit. So we don't have I don't know if we'll qualify for the dual credit, but we definitely, every opportunity we get, we do offer dual credit. It's just real hard we either have to send students to SKC, and it's very difficult to get professors to come to the local schools. So it narrows our scope in terms of what we can offer for dual credit, but I can tell you every opportunity that we take advantage of. It may not be enough for this. I mean, you live in Spokane, you could graduate through Eastern Montana or Eastern Washington, with a 2-year degree when you graduate from high school. I mean, that's the Cadillac that I think they're pursuing here. It's just we don't have a local college that we can take advantage of. But we would we would if we could, yes.
Yeah, I was just kind of interested in that.
See where it goes.
Yeah, well, it would be interesting to see where the start the hospital 252 goes, that's for sure.
Yeah.
And then I was looking at page 13. But, anyway, yeah, that was all I had.
Anybody else? Okay, that's just information, right? Yeah, okay. All right,
We're on.
we'll move on to new business, 10.01 co-op agreement, Charlotte Arley Mission with the addition of baseball.
This is one agreement now, and baseball was left off of the agreement at the last approval, so we need to reapprove the agreement for all co-ops with the addition of baseball.
It's good just for 1 year. That's right. Agreement's good for 1 school calendar year.
Yeah, the agreement with the state is 3 years, but yes, we redo it every year.
The only thing I would suggest is just naming what year it's good for. Yeah. FYR, school year, calendar year. 24, 25 or whatever. It's good to know when a contract ends and ends.
I think, and then you'll be able to go to the last page and get a date on it,
Yeah.
so, and it will be for 25, 26, because this is going next year, right? But, so you don't have to go work backwards. Makes sense.
Okay.
With that, I'll recommend approval of the sports co-op agreement with the additional baseball.
I'll second
Dave, moving second, any discussion? All those in favor?
I'm gonna count Mary as an abstain.
Yeah.
Okay. You guys are good with that?
Yeah. Okay, on the 10.02, softball backstop and fencing bid.
So, since it was a bigger bid, this is all from the community development grant through the Salish and Kootenai tribe that we were awarded. So this is all grant money from the tribe, which we greatly appreciate. But we bid out the part with the backstop because it was a bigger project. We had one bid where we set up the estimate for the cost, and then bid out the backstop for it's close to 45,000 total. Scoreboard down at the baseball field, and then the rest will go into the softball field. So once the ground thaws, and the two bids. Final strand, 23,742. Frame fencing, 25,175. And we're recommending final strand for the softball field project with the lower bid.
Both companies seemed credible to do the job.
Yes.
And stays within budget of the grant we received?
Yes. I was actually given strict instructions by the board chair to not spend one dime beyond what the grant allowed.
I think it was more of a suggestion.
5 cents per word. I'll make a motion to go with the recommend final strand fence for the softball field project that was bid out, and closed in 2/13/25.
Okay, moving second, any discussion? All those in favor?
This is like an infirmary at this table right now. It sounds bad.
10.03 job descriptions, business manager.
I'll hustle through this one. I'll hustle through my next two. To qualify for the STARS Act, we have to have language in the business manager job description. Mr. Marchant brought that up last meeting. We did it with the first, go ahead and click on that, Jason, if you will. We did it with the first sentence of the job description. We added, per the STARS Act, serves as chief fiscal officer of the district and follows required duties as described in MCA 20-3-325, which is a policy that will change if passed in House Bill 252. Is that right, Mr. Marchant? So there's not a standard set of suggestions coming from any of the districts. Some of them have got one district added the entire draft of the bill to their job description to pass it. So this is what we're going to do, and if we're ever asked about it, hopefully it just refers right back to the Montana code, which is being addressed. So other than that, everything is standard from Montana School Board Association.
Is there a difference between describing your position as a business manager or a district clerk? Yeah.
There's been a transition over the years, if you want me to go into the historical part of
that's
it.
fine.
The district clerk's always been considered clerk of the board, right? And so it would be for this part of the equation, which represents or helps represent you. The chief financial officer is the rest of it, which is increased.
So a district could have both a business manager and a
They could.
district.
Most districts have the same, but yes. A school the size of Billings will have a chief financial officer, a business manager, payroll clerk. They'll have multiple positions because of their scope. We fit ours into two positions.
Incorporates wearing multiple hats.
Right, and this will just hopefully then allow us, I've got to go through into the campus and figure out how to make it happen, but then the position will qualify for the quality educator increase as well. So
20-3-325 describes the things, or will describe the things in the
yes.
STARS Act.
Do some districts specify contracted days and hours in the days?
As far as how many days a year and what the time, maybe we could do some research on that, but most chief financial officers are going to be 260 days a year. 5 days a week, and probably busier for us, busier in the summertime than we are in January and February. So, but yeah, if we wanted to do a research on what other contracts look like, we could.
Well, that's contract. This is the.
Yeah, this is job description. Yeah.
Job description.
Yeah.
But reports to it's not superintendent at all, it's just straight board?
Informs the superintendent, reports to the board, which has kind of always been my understanding of the position anyway. If we had to have a discussion regarding the superintendent, then it would be directly with.
Yeah, well, I mean, got the same office. It's
We
pretty
are-
important to work together.
Right. The clerk is the one position the board directly hires without anything to do with me, basically. That's the only position that you directly hire annually.
I'll make a motion to recommend the approval of the job description,
business manager job description.
I'll second.
We move and seconded. Any more discussion? Okay, all those in favor? Okay, you good? All right. 10.04, permissive levy resolution.
Okay, we've done this for a few years now. Go ahead and call it up, Jason. Suggestion from MASBO, our state kind of representatives have told us that this is kind of more the format they would like to see. Because we've been doing it so long, we updated the estimated impact on a home. It used to be 100,000 to 200,000. We're now looking at 100 and 300,000, just based on the home values that we've seen over the last few years. And then I used to put in estimated mills for every one of them. They've asked to show the estimated change in mills. So most of those, unless we're going to see a different amount requested, you won't see a change in mills. An example is the building reserve. If we do the same thing where we try to maximize the SMMA amount, we'll see a very minimal amount in our estimated mills changed. Once again, this is an estimation, so we won't know until August. The main one we will see this year is transportation. We're in the third year, going into the third year of our 5-year contract. If you remember, it was negotiated at 10%, 9%, 8%. So we've seen that. We'll be asking for approval of the budget in the last big increase of this contract. So doing so, I've estimated that we would be asking for roughly $48,000 in additional funds, which would be about an additional 8.89 mils. $12 for a $100,000 home, $36 for a $300,000 home. That's per year. That is not per month. We'll see different amounts coming from transportation after that. And hopefully, much like every August, after we look at what the reserves are, we'll be able to present better than that. But this is my high estimation of what that should.
So that's the 8%.
That's the 8% in year 3. Yeah. Now the 8% looks a lot like the 9% and the 10% from year 1 and year 2, because as the amounts went up, we were getting 8% of more. So the numbers, when I first did it, came out to be roughly a pretty equal amount increase per year. But we are in the last year of that third year. Next year we'd be looking at 2% plus CPI, I believe. So we'll have to do some research on that. Yeah. So this will also be presented to local newspapers, mainly in like a format that'll go in their, the back section, legal section or whatever. And that way everybody can call up and ask questions if they have questions. But this is estimated, and hopefully, like I said, we'll be able to present numbers that are more favorable in August.
I'm still concerned. I know we've talked about this before, but 2008 facility assessment of needs.
Right. So we could very easily make that deferred maintenance. The 2008 facility, and we can change that right now if you would like. The 2008 facility assessment of needs was a assessment that went out across the state many, many years ago. It's what led us to have opportunities to get the grants that we did for the outside of the building. And then ultimately was when this bill was passed, they were funneling that money towards, like, we're going to let you levy your taxpayers to address the needs from 2008. Since then, we've mainly taken care of all those in our loan, what's the intercap loan that we took out. So that is where we take that money and pay off the loan. We took it up front and we refer back to the 2008 facility assessment of needs. I believe the language has loosened on that since then. A lot of school districts just use deferred maintenance as a description. If we want to do that, we can. I feel like we're still in the, just the process of how how we've done it in the past.
It's the last official resource.
Yeah, it's the last official resource we've had for why the bill was written.
Yeah, I think you gave me that answer before, I just couldn't remember. Well, if it's just a lexical item, I can't see changing it.
I make a motion to approve the following permissive levies for the 25-26 school year: transportation, tuition, building, ed, and
I was thinking,
Moved and seconded, any discussion?
This is probably the third year that I've spoken up on this. I'm not a big fan of the permissive levy and the transportation part where it went up 30%. Plus, it's gonna be in the 5 years and all of it put on the taxpayers. I voted against that contract and I'll continue to vote against the permissive levies because it's taxation without voting it. We're the representatives of the taxpayers, so I'm against that part of it, so I'm gonna be against it all. It's all or none.
So this resolution budgets like any of that type of.
Okay, anything else? Okay, all those in favor? Against? Okay. Move on to 10.05, head of ordinance recommendation. If we have an opportunity to do some interviews.
So recommending hiring Austin Pullman as per committee for the head of maintenance. Austin Pullman, his information is down below. Hopefully you've had a chance to look through an executive content, his resume, etc., application.
I make the motion to recommend the hiring of Austin Coleman as per committee for head of maintenance.
I'll second.
Okay, moved and seconded, any discussion?
Can you remind me what the start date is?
Beginning of March, he will be moving his family here, so he said he's gonna be as close to March 1st as possible, so he's looking for a place to purchase and move into, so we're hoping by December 10th, the latest. He was, that first week in March, he said he thought he could definitely be here, so as close to March 1st as possible, which a week is fine. We'll be fine to get oriented in that amount of time. So yeah, very close to our March 1st.
Too bad we couldn't get him right now, give him a taste of the winter, huh? So one of the conditions of speaking to him, if I remember correctly, was moving close,
Yes,
and he's thinking.
yes,
Close as in town?
here. Well, not, he wants to live outside of town. He wants some chickens.
You have chickens in
He's
town?
got plenty of people to buy it.
So he's looking for some land, preferably 5 acres or something.
I say,
I'm just saying what he told me, like, I said, there's a place right across the street, would be awesome for sale, that just opened up. I said, well, I kind of like some space, I like some acres, my family would like some chickens.
The playground.
Like,
You could use a playground. A garden.
Yeah, slightly related. I see that we have a facility grounds meeting Thursday, is that correct?
yes, and I'm gonna probably push that back again, just because.
Is it possible to wait till he got here? Maybe
That'd be fine.
in a couple of weeks,
Sure.
go through it with
Yeah.
him?
We really can't do much right now
Yeah.
anyway, so, yeah, I was gonna reschedule that with you guys anyway, but yeah, let's wait till, that would be fine, yeah, a couple of weeks, and hopefully when he gets here, it'll be a great time to do it, yeah.
Oh, yeah. It'll be cleared up.
One quick thing is contract's 260 days. Like the reason I bring that up is our current guy comes on the weekends during the winter. just a boiler check here for half hour? I mean, is that gonna be a discussion or, I mean, is that gonna be an
It'll
extra
come up.
thing?
I mean, anything is negotiable. You're on that's the nice thing about being on contract. For those of us on contracts, you're here for the time needed. I mean,
Right.
yeah. They understand the job. and-
Take from this day to after this day or whatever.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I mean, I just know. when
Steve's here every day,
Yeah.
but I mean, that, you're not gonna find somebody probably
No,
does what he does, but as close, as possible to that. And, but we also will be fair. We've been fair over the years with, the tough years of plowing. I mean, Steve was here all weekend. Yeah. So, I mean, yeah, those are things we either need to work out in terms of, payment or time traded later on.
This is an aside, did I understand our plow truck went on?
Yeah, the 4-wheel drive went out. We purchased chains. They were too big, but we got it going, and yeah. When the snow stops, we'll get the 4-wheel drive looked at.
Yeah.
In the meantime, yeah, the chains are getting it done.
okay. See, we've been moving second and ready. Any other discussion? Okay, all those in favor?
Yeah.
Okay, 10.06, we got some out of district kids listed at the bottom. Are these Harmony students or students?
Some,
Some.
A motion to approve the out-of-district students listed in the executive content.
I'll second
Okay, been moving second. Any discussion? All those in favor? Okay, 10.07, out-of-state travel. Trip for Washington DC, looks like.
Ms. Schilling?
About it, okay. Hi.
I was gonna steal your
I was
thunder.
not
I stole
sure.
your thunder, but you're great.
Yeah, I wasn't sure when to put this in, so hopefully this is the right time. This is my first time doing this, so some of it's kind of just winging it, but I'm taking 12 students to Washington DC at the end of March through the Close-Up program. I did this when I was in high school, and I think that it's really valuable. It is a lot of interactive things about history, but also about government and the inner workings of it. They'll get to meet with, as far as I know, their representatives in the House and the Senate, those who are available. We'll get to tour the Capitol, tour a lot of the monuments. We have secondary tickets to go to the Holocaust Museum and some of the Smithsonian museums. So they also did, a lot of them did their own fundraising, which is very cool. They did a lot of work to be able to pay their way to go. I came up with it kind of last minute last spring. This is a really nice group of kids who are really engaged in a lot of the social studies components, and I wanted them to have an opportunity to get to see some of these things because a lot of them, I'm going to pick on our student who's back here, is signed up to go, has never been on like a plane before or anything. And that's kind of how I was when I went too. I had never really gotten that opportunity to travel. So I think it's really important for them to go and kind of see a little bit of the real world, especially because a lot of them are getting ready to graduate. So. And Sarah Keys will be coming with me, which is really nice because it's kind of a big undertaking with 12 kids. So I'm happy to have some. So, yeah.
So did the kids raise all of them?
A lot of them, we did some school fundraising. A couple of them did 50-50s and things like that, but a lot of them did do a lot of their own fundraising. I know like Sarah Gersh in particular worked, so she kind of worked her way through. Brooklyn McClure made ribbon skirts and raffled them off 3 or 4 times. And I know Isaac Free did like the Court of Wood raffle. A lot of them got pretty creative and did some cool things to raise their money to go.
But
So.
they paid for the whole.
Mm-hmm. Yep, they're all paid and registered to go. Yeah. Yeah.
I'll make the motion to recommend the approval of out-of-state travel for Close-Up trip to Washington DC, March 30th.
I'll second that.
Okay, we've been moved and seconded. Any other discussion?
I've just heard a lot of good stuff about that, and that's a great place to go see for
Thank you.
that age kids. So,
Anyone else? Yep. All those in favor? All right, 10.08 substitute hire.
Sorry, we just recommend Taylor Reed.
Oh, action.
So, yeah. So it is an action item and we're recommending Taylor Reed, substitute teacher.
Make a motion to recommend Taylor Reed as a substitute teacher.
I'll second.
Okay, we move seconded. Any discussion? All those in favor?
So back in the day, student teaching and substituting were not mutually acceptable. I know I had a student teacher my last year who was not able to substitute because of his agreement with the Montana State University. So she's cool with it, everything's.
Yeah, you're now allowed 3 days that you can sub while you're student teaching, and then this approval, she'll be able to sub when her student teaching is over. So 3 days while she's student teaching, and then once she's done student teaching, she can jump right into the subject. Yep.
And that, how long will it be?
I'm not sure.
Just curious.
Do we have a motion? We do, we have a first and a second.
Okay,
So
any other discussion?
Actually, got Stan's vote already because of.
Oh. Oh, yeah. Okay, anybody else? All those in favor? Okay, 10.09, prom.
Recommend holding prom at the Rugged Horizons where it's been for the last quite a few years, April 26th, 2025.
Same deal as before?
Yes.
Same deal as what?
The rental deposit and return, and pretty good deal.
But but the date is then changed, right? Traditionally, it'd be coming right up. wouldn't it?
Yeah.
That's completely.
It hasn't been approved yet for this year, and they couldn't get in
Right.
to Rugged Horizons because they talked about going to Polson, and we didn't like that idea years ago, and we still don't like it. So we decided to move the date rather than move the location.
Make a motion to recommend to hold prom at Rugged Horizons on April 26th, 2025.
I'll second that.
Okay, we move second. Any discussion? All those in favor? Okay, 10.10 E-rate category 2.
Okay, this is again a bid. I recommend awarding Valley Tech bid option 1 for our E-rate networking infrastructure project for District 28. This is grant money. Again, nothing that, there may be a little bit that comes out of district funds, but E-rate, I hope it continues. It's been a great asset annually for funds and getting things done. So recommending the rewiring. I'm going to touch on any of that in terms of the project itself, in terms of what that entails. I know we've got about 1 million miles of wire above us, but give us the Cliff Note version of what this will entail, Mr. Nesper.
Sure. E-rate is a federal program. Category 1 is internet service, so they pay for our Blackfoot connection. Have for
As
years.
long as I've been working here, E-rate's paid or at least taken, bids to pay for a Blackfoot connection. So
So that's category one. Category two is what happens after it gets to the building. So that's all the wiring, access points, cable drops in the rooms. Only applies to instructional spaces. So administrative offices, things like that are not eligible, but we have very few of those. And then our CTE wing that just got built, I didn't bother putting that in the bid because it seemed silly to redo something we had just done. And it doesn't need it. So the rest of the district is a part of this. We've been working with a consultant who has helped me through the whole process. We put a RFP together. You have that in the document in front of you. That RFP includes everything that I could think of, and we put that out for bids. We had some bids. We had a bid evaluation process. We selected the lowest priced bid that could do the job, and that's what you have in front of you. If approved, that will go and be submitted to the feds, to USAC and the FCC. They will then decide if we did a good job, and they will either approve us or deny it or ask some clarifying questions and have us do a little process there. And if they say go for it and the program doesn't get canceled, which who knows, then hopefully starting July 1, we will have a mousy little fellow up in our attics running cables hither and yon for a couple of weeks.
Thank you, Mr. Nesper, for the work. This was a ton of work. This was a lot of work.
It was
so.
a process. Yeah, it certainly was.
So that timeline on the approval must be pretty quick.
Well, that's why we're hoping we can get one tonight and not have to. I tell you what, if we wait till next month to get an approval on it, the probability that it happens goes way down. But probability it happens at all. The funding available for this is stuff that's been collecting for 5 years, I think, which is why we have such a big budget. We haven't touched a penny of it. I sort of learned about its existence and our ability to access this money 6 months ago, and that's why we're doing it now. So if not approved, I pretty much don't think it'll happen, which is why it's in front of you right now.
What kind of boat are we in if the funding isn't approved?
Funding isn't approved, we stay in this boat. We just don't get a new one.
Could be worse.
Oh yeah. It's not like they're going to come rip stuff out. But if it doesn't get approved, then we go back to my original plan, which is to basically redo it all over the course of 5 to 10 years, a piece at a time, a wing at a time, or whatever the district financially can bear.
Based on need.
Based on starting on that end of the elementary and working this way.
I was looking at the RFP again, and I quickly lost my place in it. So, is there? You don't want to start before July 1?
July 1's the fiscal year.
Yeah, that's more about the way the funding process works. When we would get an approval and a notice to proceed, we would really be able to start.
I make a motion to recommend awarding Valley Tech the bid option 1 for our E-rate networking infrastructure project for school district.
I'll second that.
Okay, we're moving second. Any discussion? All those in favor? Thank you, Mr. Nesper.
You're very welcome. Thank
Good
you.
luck. Let's go get it.
You got it.
10.11 coaching recommendation for assistant baseball.
Recommending on behalf of Mr. Hall, in the athletic department, Mr. Adam Huckluck for the position of assistant baseball coach for the 25 season.
We have 1 season.
I make the motion to recommend Adam Huckluck for the position of assistant baseball coach for the 25 season.
I'll second.
Moving second. Any discussion?
Just a little concern there, and as far as, just the answers to the board, but as long as availability to staff and to the administration is not a,
Is that something
because
that,
it practice will be right after school.
yeah. So is that something, because you brought it up earlier, so I was wondering if that's something that you,
Just, Mission has a history. That's why Les Rice ended up at Senex.
gotcha.
And a lot of it was the new superintendent came in and wanted him there.
Gotcha.
And so there's history in the district.
If
But
I-
if
if I
staff has
remember
no
right-
concern, superintendent, I'm not gonna, vote against it or anything, because as far as the person you are and the quality of
That's why I asked,
coach.
because I'd heard, that's the second time it's been brought up here tonight. I think Justin's had practice at 5 because he has to get off work as well, which. kind of
Yeah,
covers that.
I mean, you've done the little guy baseball forever and whatnot,
Yeah.
but just
I applied.
down
on
the
last
road,
day.
if something changed and there became an issue,
I know which one has a bigger dollar amount next to it, so
yeah.
I'd make the right.
Yeah, I know, and I don't want to miss any games or anything, because especially how short that time is and goes, so. Just something to think about just as a group, but I'm sure I'm not gonna vote against it.
Okay. Any other discussion? All those in favor? Yes?
Look forward, I'm gonna abstain.
You're gonna
Yeah.
abstain.
Okay.
Okay, I was gonna say.
Yeah,
we're-
yeah.
Volunteer coaching recommendation. 10.12.
Recommending Sydney Brander as a volunteer coach for middle school track and field.
I'll motion to hire Sydney Brander as a volunteer coach for middle school track and field.
I'll second that.
Moving second, any discussion? All those in favor? Okay, that runs up new business. We move on to reports, 11.01 enrollment.
Now enrollment's creeping back up. Harmony's working, I believe, in the right direction, getting even more out of district students that semester. I think it'll gain more momentum over the summer with time, but yeah, we're crawling back up with enrollment, which is great news.
Did we skip that out of district? Item of business, or we did? Oh, we did, okay.
That's the one I asked if they, or some of them were Harmony.
Oh, okay,
Some
yeah,
of them were.
I just didn't have the thick pulled up.
Okay, want to 11.02 administration and leadership. SIFT is Michelle still here? Do you want to comment on your report?
Not unless there are questions. The board fed, we do have feedback. We just have a lot of the same people on overlapping committees and they've had a lot of responsibilities. And so have you all. So, we're gonna make that happen. And then, I just did want to give you, because there have been questions, from us as well as you about what's happening, with the healthcare pool idea. And it's still kind of in process.
The
but-
statewide.
The statewide. So I just put the latest update that I received in here just so you all could read that. That was this last week, so
Okay,
real recently.
okay. And then are we scheduled for any negotiation meetings? Usually we start them in February, don't we, or?
You had one, right? And then,
Oh,
yeah, and
We've
I'm,
had one.
Oh, I was done.
yeah, there was one just to kind of open it up, but, I mean, there's just so much uncertainty with the legislature in session that it kind of benefits both parties to wait a little bit, but it's kind of up to you all, of course, and our team to,
Well, when we have
take
more
on that.
information, it always makes it better for sure.
right.
And there is, only thing we talked about today was there is a May, for the STARS Act, there is a May, we have to have that portion of negotiations completed by May. So there's one part of negotiation, we'd like to have it all done, hopefully, in a perfect world. But there is
I know.
one part that just came out last week that there is a deadline for May. We got time, but
Right.
there is a hard deadline for the STARS Act to get the language for that completed. before, and I can't remember if it was May 3rd or
May
May,
25th, I think.
May what?
25th. I
May
think.
25th.
Yeah,
I'd have to
that
look
sounds-
back. I've got it.
Which
written down.
really, we want to be done by then.
Yeah.
So, um,
Yeah,
So-
if they could get that statewide wrapped up, that'd be huge for the insurance.
yeah, and you really often sign die as the end of April anyway, but still,
Yeah.
we want to be well underway.
Yeah, for sure.
Um,
So how will we hear about it? I think I'm on that committee.
the board fed, that you'll probably be hearing from Mr. Martin.
You will be here, actually, I was
He-
hoping to get looking before the end of the week.
He'd be probably your first contact about that.
Cool.
All right,
All right, thank you.
thank you.
It's a legislative session, 90 days, is that, is it 3 months?
Techman, Mr. Nesper, you got anything to add to your report?
I have nothing additional to add unless there are any questions. Pretty light one on that.
Okay, we got any questions for him? All right, AD, Mr. Hall, I see you walking, nothing to add to there?
No, sir.
No comment on the boys' big win tonight?
They won big. 51-53.
I just have one question. As far as on the co-op agreements, is there any, in the past, some kids have done 2 sports in the spring. If there is like enough kids from the 3 schools, will it still be allowed for a person to do 2 sports?
That's an excellent question.
What do you mean if there's enough?
If they have enough people?
So like
usually a
track and-
coach's decision
Track,
on
yeah,
what
'cause that
to,
was one-
let them, what do they allow
Track
in
and RV and
sports?
baseball and Michigan. same.
My only experience with kids trying to do sports happened to be with wrestling and basketball, and we knew that wasn't going to work at all. So
There has been some track and baseball, but it was kind of a need situation. But if I was a parent and I had a kid sitting there and maybe teammate was doing 2 sports, I don't know how it would be something it might be discussed, I guess.
I would say that both of those seasons will be my first seasons, so they haven't happened yet. So once I get that experience,
Yeah,
I will take it under
case by
advisement,
case
then we'll-
basis or whatever.
Right, and it'll also come down to coaches when they hold practice, 'cause if that's even an option.
Yeah, and you don't know your numbers at all yet or anything, so.
Yeah, and what we've done in the past is like the individual sports are like cross country and volleyball, or any of those individual sports going on at the same time as a team sport, or last year with track and softball. It didn't last very long because it's a team sport and an individual sport, whereas a team sport, you're going to be gone from practice. You're probably not going to be starting or playing as much as someone that's here every night. You have to establish that with the parent and the athlete at the beginning of the season. We went through it with cross country and middle school football. We went through it with football, cross country, and high school. So you have to kind of lay out those ground rules for those athletes that want to do both. They just have to understand that those team sports, you need to be there every night. And if you're gone one night a week, that's going to affect playing time because you're not here every night of the week. So
Getting it done in the classroom.
Yep.
What he said.
Okay, thank you, sir. Elementary, is Miss Moore here?
She is
she's
not. I have an update though on Ms. Moore said, substitute until the 18th, Mr. Marchand. That's what you were asking.
18th of
April.
The one question I had about this, and maybe you guys can get back to that report. She is listed, the showcase is March 6th. Is that elementary only, or is that high school? So I don't see it anywhere else.
all of us, everybody.
Everybody.
Showcases it,
Yeah.
all the schools on March 6th.
Yeah.
Okay.
We're doing conferences at the high school like we
Right.
did last year. But also I will have a district-wide art show in the Commons like last year with art from pre-K through high school, on that night. So hopefully it brings people to both.
Thank you.
Was that the event Logan Health was talking about trying to have the curriculum?
Move on to middle school, high school. Mr. Hendrickson's not here as well.
March 6th, that's coming up quick, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He said that sounds like, oh.
It's a couple weeks. Yeah. Okay, so I guess that means you are up for district, Mr. Sargent.
Okay, I only had just one apology to the union on, there was one part in there that talked about hearsay in terms of the STARS Act and things that I heard, which shouldn't have be added to my report, so I apologize. Take that out, ignore that, because it's merely a frustration on my behalf with one person and nothing to do with our union. So, hearsay, objection sustained. So,
And
Other
the
than-
official word from the union, big union, not this little union, which we support all funding, obviously. But the big union is that also supporting the STARS Act.
so that was the only part I wanted to correct. Was anything else? What else did we talk about today? There was, that it? Okay. In the board packet. So I think, yeah, I believe that, let me just double check real quick. Yeah, the STARS Act, I know that there's a deadline there that we have to get done. Titles, I mean, you're hearing all kinds of things right now. I mean, there's the political game of what's going on right now. STARS Act is kind of being held hostage for a lot of the things that no one likes in terms of the private schools. And so the political game is way beyond this room or me. Even as frustrated as I can get, it's definitely, there's a whole lot of pulling and now, I heard today that, the STARS Act is kind of being leveraged against some of the legislative, especially the newer ones, in terms of the agendas for private charters, et cetera. So it's all concerning to me. Anything that isn't public schools scares the heck out of me, and the threat of the funding obviously is, but it's in full swing and there's a whole lot going on and it's busy. And I'll keep passing on information that I get from Montana School Board Association or anybody that has information about time for advocacy. If anybody wants information on advocacy, let me know. Happy to forward that to anyone that wants it. For quick emails. I spend a little bit of each day trying to get emails out to legislators in terms of committees or individuals as things come up in support of public education. So, yeah, that's Logan Health. That's new. Wanted to get that out there. And then just real quickly, the primary care and behavioral health. We have Logan Health right now. We heard from them tonight. CSKT Behavioral and Mental Health, heard from them tonight. The RAISE grant is through the U of M, partnering with the Missoula Area Co-op. That will include a school psychologist for behaviors, consultation, group therapy. It's a 4-year grant, 1.5 days a week, and no Medicaid billing for us, but an additional service, additional psychologist here at school. If that grant, everything's been kind of put on hold right now, so I can't say we're going to have it for sure, but we have applied to be a part of it. And then, of course, the Gear Up mental health, and that's the Youth Resilience Coach, Youth Coaching Institute, 2 days a week, no Medicaid billing. But those are the 4 parts we currently have in the works for mental health, which is great because we haven't had a mental health provider other than we tried a local MOU with, for a year, 2 years ago, and didn't really flourish. But yeah, so excited about the opportunities there for mental health. And that's all I
All right.
A couple of things. Did we already do the trustee election resolution?
We did do the trustee election resolution last month. It's also currently updated on our website. So,
Thought we did, but I see it's on the.
May 15th.
May 15th is always.
That's the cutoff.
Well, yeah, it says effective date of the act or May 15th, whichever is later, but May 15th. Looks like that. So the other thing I'm wondering is, I'm seeing, so curious about job descriptions. You got the business manager taken care of. The we have one for attendance clerk, which I'm assuming is Miss Marshall. But there doesn't seem to be one for a high school office administrative assistant, which I would guess is Miss Rice.
Is your administrative assistant just administrative assistant?
Well, I haven't seen that. That's why I don't know. But the attendance secretary sounds like.
That would be Jack.
That would be Jack. But I hadn't seen that. I think there's an elementary administrative assistant which describes Miss Connie's position, and a district office administrative assistant which describes Racina.
I have a feeling that we would probably combine the high school with the elementary, but I'll find out.
Okay.
I have to read it.
Yeah, I'm just, and then special ed secretary. I haven't seen one for that either.
That's a good one. Yeah. Yeah, MTSBA probably doesn't have that one.
Right.
But I'll find out.
Okay, cool.
I thought we did one for that, but I may have it on my computer. I'll check.
Yeah, I was just looking back at the last board meetings, but and then the district office administrative assistant. It says notary public is required. Is she a notary public?
she was a notary.
That's an aspiration that we added
Aspiration.
to motivate to get that done. That's our goal. That's her goal. Yes, we
To
want that.
become, because she was for a while.
She was.
Yeah. Is there anybody on the district? who does?
Not anymore.
Okay.
The bonding has changed and the testing is about 8 hours required testing.
Steve
So,
used to be.
yeah, Steve used to be, he's lapsed. Christina's lapsed.
The bank is where we always go now. No one here at the school does it.
So, yeah, it's built in there to motivate to carve out time to make that happen.
It's a goal in the near future.
Mhm. Yeah, that's all.
Anybody else? Okay, meeting adjourned, 8:29.
All right, thanks, everybody.